Awesome, y'all. How are we doing tonight? Awesome. If we could actually, let's do this. Could we move up to the first 3 or 4 rows? It's a little weird. I don't like this gap right here. So if we could everybody just move up to the first 3 or 4 rows, make this a little bit more comfortable. I'm scared of you guys all the way back there. Come on, I want to see everybody. Trust me, it'll be better. Awesome. Well, as you can tell, if you have been here a lot, I am not Sean. If it's not obvious, I'm not Sean. He's going to be busy for the next few Wednesdays. So he unfortunately won't be here for a little bit, but we got an amazing lineup of guest speakers. So we got me this week. Next week we've got, I don't know if you know them, you may know them, Corey and Kelsey Davis. And then the week after we got Jordan Wheelhouse. But I just got a question for you guys. You guys are graduating. You guys are coming out of school. Are you guys happy about that? Yes. You are? Okay. Do you guys think you think you should be happy about that, right? You're supposed to be happy about it. Oh, come on, I need something better. I need something more from you guys. Yeah, you guys are happy? Okay. Do you guys think you should be happy about most things? There's a lot of things that you should feel happy about, right? Y'all, I need something more from you. I need, come on, let's get loud. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you guys think, yeah, you should feel happy. There's things to be happy about. You should feel it, You should feel it. Now here's a real question. Do you guys think that God wants you to feel happy? Yes. You think, yeah. We believe it, It's like he wants us to be happy. He wants to give us the things that we enjoy. He wants us to feel happy. Now, here's a way to think about it. Do you think that he knows that you're always going to be happy? Do you think that he knows you're always going to be happy? Why do you think that? Because life is life? That's a fair answer. Life is life. I mean, honestly, things change. Yeah, that's the simplest way to put it. Things just change. We know, because some of you go into school, you don't necessarily want to go to school. I mean, I know I didn't want to go to school. It was kind of, mellow. I mean, to be fair, I was homeschooled, so I didn't really have anywhere to go. But I didn't want to go do my work. I can tell you that much. So I didn't want to do that. And so we're we're not always going to be happy. I'm not always going to have happiness there. I may have some things I can be happy for, but I may not always be happy. Now, how do we know this? I mean, how do we know this? So let's go somewhere. I want somebody, all right, pull out your Bibles. I want somebody to look up Ecclesiastes 1. First person who looks it up, come up here, and I want you to read it. Ecclesiastes 1, we're going to read the first couple of verses. First person who gets it, just come up here. Man, everybody's locked in right now. They're locked in. Yeah, come here. All right. Gotcha. Just the first 2 verses. Yeah, I can help you.
Verses what?
Just the first 2.
First 2. These are the words of the teacher, King David's son, who ruled in Jerusalem. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher, completely meaningless.
Isn't that a wild way to start off a chapter of the Bible, y'all? Nothing matters. That is insane. So, this is, and if you don't know who that is, by the way, if you don't know who wrote that, that's King Solomon. If you don't know anything about King Solomon, he was the heir of David, who, if you know David, he was known for killing Goliath, becoming king of Israel, and was known in title in the Bible, we can know him as the man after God's own heart. Devoted man of God, always going after the things he has for him. This is his son, that he has raised, that he has trained up in his ways. And in fact, Solomon becomes king, and at some point, the Lord comes to him and says, Solomon, I will give you anything you ask for. I could give you all of the kingdoms of the world. I could give you all the riches you could ever need. Just ask for it. And he says, I don't want anything but wisdom. He says, I want to know how to lead my people well. I want to know how you would do things. And he says, because you've asked for this, I'm going to give you everything anyway. So he makes him rich. He makes him powerful because he asked for wisdom. And that's a crazy statement for him to say. It's insane for him to say everything is meaningless. Why would he say that? The man who is known for wisdom says everything is meaningless. In fact, in that chapter alone, I think it mentions twice as the headers. It says wisdom is meaningless. It talks about it twice. I think it's because he's got to cancel out the blessing of wisdom that he got. He's got to cancel out. I got to say it twice. So he is the king of Israel in a position of power, and he's saying nothing matters. I think we can all agree Solomon's not okay. he's not okay. He's in the throes of despair in this chapter. Like, he is just like completely going through it, and we don't know why. Why is he going through it? And why does he start off Ecclesiastes this way? If you go to the second chapter, it's the same thing. He's going through it. He's talking about how everything is meaningless. Nothing matters. Nothing could satisfy me. It says work is meaningless. Toil is meaningless. Wisdom is meaningless. Nothing matters. How is the king of Israel, who's been given so much authority, able to say this? It is insane. And I bet if we go to the next chapter, I bet if we go to the next chapter, what we'll find is something similar, because I don't know how we could do that. So we go, third chapter. There's a time for everything. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, it just goes on. Okay, this isn't following Solomon's thinking. You guys saw the first 2 chapters, right? He thinks nothing matters. So why would he say, but things pass? I don't know if you guys have ever been in stress. Like, I bet some of you have been doing tests and stuff like that. You don't think it's ever going to end. You don't think the studying and the stress is ever going to end when you're in it. But somehow he writes 2 whole chapters saying nothing matters, and then comes back and says, but it'll be fine. It'll pass. It's just a season. It's just a season. Everything will be fine. No, I would never think to do that. If I'm ever in a season of like being unhappy, I'm not thinking, well, there'll be a time for happiness later. I'm just like, no, I'm here. I hate this. I hate where I'm at. I hate what I'm doing. I hate what I'm feeling, and I don't want to be anywhere else. I can't imagine being anywhere else, and I don't want to go anywhere else. There's nowhere else to go. Nothing matters, and there's nowhere that I can find satisfaction. And yet he's basically saying, but it'll be fine. How in the world? It doesn't make sense. And the simplest way to put it, because we know this, what Solomon is saying is not true in the first 2 chapters. We know things have meaning. I mean, you guys know the things you do, they have meaning. I mean, they have consequences. So you know, if you're told to do your homework and you don't do your homework, there's going to be a consequence for it. You guys know, like, I know that. Whenever I didn't do my homework, I'm like, there's a consequence for this. The things you do, they have meaning. They have consequence. They have value because they produce something. And he's saying, okay, well, they don't. And we know that's not true. But the thing is that he's feeling it. So how is he able to know it's not true, but at the same time feel it? See, the thing is this. Solomon is seeing one thing. What he's seeing, let me see. I actually have it written down much better than I could ever have done it up here. Let me see. It says Solomon sees everything is meaningless. What he is looking at, his perspective is nothing matters, everything is meaningless. He's just seeing, all right, none of this is going to matter in the end. None of this is going to mean anything, and it's all going to come to ruin because in the end we all die, and that's all that matters. He's just seeing nothing matters. This is what he's feeling. This is what he's experiencing. But we know it's not the truth. But why is he, as somebody that's been put in power and under God and believes that God made everything with purpose, say everything is meaningless? It's insane. But then we see a deeper look into what's happening, because then we go to Ecclesiastes 3 and he says, but there's a time for everything. He goes on to say, I think it's like in the 9th verse, I think he goes on to say, everything will be made beautiful in its time. And eternity has been set on man's hearts. He said, we have meaning. Complete contradiction. Because what we look at is this, is that Solomon sees everything is meaningless, but Solomon actually believes, deep down somewhere, he knows everything has meaning. Everything has meaning. He's feeling everything is meaningless. He doesn't really think it right now. He's going through it and he's like, this doesn't feel like meaning. However, he knows deep down, and he has to push through the pain he's feeling and say, but I do know everything has meaning because the Lord has made everything beautiful in its time. Now, what I really want to get at is this. Solomon is not okay. He's a leader. He is a man of God. He is one of the people that God chose to lead his people. He's special in that way. So how is he able to be thinking all these things, feeling all these things, and yet still be able to walk out the purpose God has for him? Like, he still fulfills his duties as king. He still walks it out. He still deals with it. I want to change your perspective on this book, though, because what we see is that he's just writing this out for nobody. I think whenever he's writing out those things that he's feeling, he's writing it to God. I think that the things he's feeling, he's chosen not to hide from God. I mean, I can't imagine anybody else he's writing it to. He's going through all these things right now. And who would he write that to? Who would he be vulnerable with like that? Who would he say, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking? They would be like, no, you got to get off the throne. You can't do anything. Like, what are you doing? You think everything is meaningless. Why would we trust you to run our people? Why would we trust you to take care of them? And so I believe he's writing that to God. I believe he's writing it as just like, Lord, here's my heart. Here's what I feel. This is everything that's inside of me, and I'm not okay. This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling despair. I'm feeling abandonment. I'm feeling like nothing I do matters. I feel like I don't have value, and this is what I'm feeling. And he's being honest. But we know it's not the truth. We know that everything does have meaning, even though he's saying everything is meaningless. So the truth versus what he's feeling, two different things. You see, your feelings, he's feeling these things. Your feelings are only going to show you part of the picture of what's really going on. If you just go and you're like, okay, you know what, I have this feeling of rejection from people. That's only a part of the picture of what's going on. And it's going to deceive you into thinking, okay, well, this is the only thing that matters, whenever there's actually a root issue. I have a way to kind of describe this. I actually got a picture. We call it the belief tree. This was something I was taught about a year and a half ago. We can go and actually, I think, put it up on the screen. It should be there. The belief tree. So we have 5 different levels. We've got the roots, which is your worldview. It's just basically wherever you're planted and what you're taking in. We have your beliefs, which at your core are being fed by what you're taking in, what you truly believe. There's what you believe up here, there's what you believe down here. It's that feeling whenever somebody says something that you know is not right, it's just that, in a way, a gut instinct of just like, I just know that's not right, because it's what you believe. Your values, from your beliefs, they produce your values, they grow. What you believe, you choose to put a value on, you choose to elevate, you choose to make more important. And then you have your decisions. So because you make something important, you decide, okay, wait, I want to do something about this. I want to make a change. I want to do something different. And then it leads to actions. You make a decision. I want to do this. Okay, then you do it. So this is the same way that Solomon is planted in a worldview of nothing matters right now. So he's feeding on that. So his beliefs change and he thinks nothing matters. And then his value changed. Okay, well, since nothing matters, nothing I do really has value. And since nothing I do really has value, why should I do anything? And so then I'm not going to do anything because nothing has value. And this is a pretty extreme example. I mean, like, looking at where he's at, what he's saying, it's very extreme. However, it can be applied on any level. It's basically, he's just not okay. And he's okay with that. Because he knows life is not always going to be okay 100% of the time. It's not saying that God is like, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to say, you don't get to be okay. But it's saying there are times where we go through life and life comes at us and life's not fun. Life doesn't play fair. It doesn't want to play fair. It doesn't want to give you everything you want. It wants to satisfy its own desires. I remember seeing this because I was always wrestling with the fact that I'm like, oh, well, if, why would God take me through something that's difficult, that could harm me, that would cause me pain? Why would he do that? And I actually found this, and it's actually in Ecclesiastes. I don't have it as a slide. It's in Ecclesiastes 7. It's Ecclesiastes 7:13. And it says this. It says, accept the way God does things, for who can straighten what he has made crooked? Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. Life's not fair. There are things that happen to us, and I know some of us have experienced that aren't fair. Why did this have to happen? This didn't have to happen. Why did this happen to me? Why couldn't I do anything about it? Sometimes life happens. And I'm not saying that God doesn't work through that. I'm not saying God doesn't help to prevent certain things. He does step in. He does help us. He does guide us. But there are some times where we're just in the world. And the thing is, we're not of the world. We're not living in the same place they are. But it still can affect us to some extent or another. It can still have an impact to some extent. And what we don't want to do is get to the point where we're like, okay, the world's just going to happen, and I have nobody to rely on. We don't want to get to the point Solomon was at, where it's like, okay, well, if this is going to keep happening, what can I do about it? Well, there are things you can do about it. If we stay in our feelings too long, you want to know what happens? We make it our whole world. And like I said, your feelings are only part of the story as to what's going on. I believe that all emotions that we have were actually originally given from God, and any other emotion that is other than the ones that we feel that are good, like joy, like even sadness can be a good one. There is actually righteous anger. I'm not saying go be angry at everybody, but I am saying there is a type of that, but there are also twisted ones. There are ones, the enemy has never created anything. He has just taken what has already been created and he's turned it for his own purposes. So every emotion we have that is negative is a twisted version of some other. And I believe that when you're feeling something, it's real, you're going through it, it's actually happening, but it's only giving you a part of the truth. It's giving you a partial truth. And so what do we need to do? Well, with the example of the belief tree, you could look at what somebody's doing. You could look at, okay, well, this is how they're feeling, and you could say, okay, well, that's it. They're just feeling this. What can I do about it? Well, guess what? If you want to know what's going on deep down inside, well, you got to dig deep. You got to go back. Okay, well, they're feeling this way. Okay, well, what made them start going down that path? Okay, well, maybe it's a change of values. Okay, well, maybe it's a change of beliefs, something that they believe internally. And then it's, okay, well, what are they feeding themselves with? Anytime we're going through something that is not making us feel good, it is only giving us part of the picture. There's something deeper, and we have to go explore it. So here's kind of 3 steps. Kind of 3 steps for how to kind of deal with this. Because here's the thing. This will happen. We have to figure out a way to deal with it because we cannot stop it all the time. The Lord does step in. He does, and he helps us through it. We cannot do it without God. I want you to get that. We cannot do this without the Lord. If we try to, we're just going to be caught back in the same cycle. We're going to be trying to dig deep. We're going to lose purpose, and then we're going to drop it and just feel the same way for the rest of our lives. We don't want to do that. Why? Because the world wants us to stay down. The enemy wants you to do everything but the will of God. He wants you to be anywhere. He doesn't care what you do as long as you're as far away from God as possible. And so that's whenever we need to kind of step in and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a stance. He wants me here. Well, I know he's opposed to God. I'm not opposed to God, so why am I going to stay here? So here's kind of the first thing you do when you know, okay, I'm not okay. Recognize what's not okay. You have to first recognize where you're at. Doesn't matter if it's something that goes against, okay, well, this is against what I believe. I shouldn't be feeling this way, but it's actually happening, though. You may realize this isn't the truth about me, but this is how I actually feel. This is what's really going on. This is where I'm at, and this is actually affecting me. Again, it's not true about you necessarily. It's just this is what I'm really thinking about. This is what's really affecting me. The next thing to do, and I know people say this all the time, we say, oh, go to God. You gotta share it with somebody. Find some way to vocalize it to God. I know everybody doesn't talk to God in the same way. There are many ways that we do it. Sometimes I go on walks, so I'll sit in my room and I'll put on headphones. Experiment. Whenever you're like, okay, I realize things aren't okay, figure out ways to connect to God, to share it with him. A lot of the time, I just say what I'm thinking out loud. I'm just like, all right, God, well, here's all this that I'm thinking about. And I'm just alone, and I just say it. And a lot of the time, that frees up the space, so I'm not thinking about that. So then God can kind of be like, okay, well, now here's the truth. We have to share it with him. There's a verse in Psalms that says, know my anxious thoughts. It's like, know my intents, know what I want to do. But we have to ask him to do it. We're like, okay, well, this is what's really going on. Search me for anything that is not okay. So we have to connect to God. We have to share it with him. The next thing is to tell somebody else. I've kind of had some friends that are kind of like my therapists a little bit. They kind of became that role, that they were like, I want to know what's going on with you, good, bad, everything. I don't care if it's even offensive to me. I don't care if it even could potentially hurt me. I know what you're meaning. I know what you could be going through, and I want to help you. And they're also good inputs. We're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be believers that come alongside one another, so we share with one another. Find a trusted friend, somebody that you know, that you're close to, that sticks closer like a brother, that is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to trust you with the things that I'm not okay with, because somebody needs to help me with this. You have God, but also you have people. Go to a trusted friend. And then here's what I'd say. Go to a leader. Go to a mentor. Somebody that you trust, that you respect, that desires to pour into your life and open up. They have a lot more experience. I can guarantee you they will have been like, okay, I've been there. And they can kind of share from their experience and give you some things to help you through it. I know I've had that. I've had that recently, being away from here. I was away from here for a couple months at the beginning of this year, and it was a completely different season of life. Things were hard in ways that I had not known they were going to be hard. And if I didn't have solid leaders, solid people that were leading me, that were guiding me, I don't know where I'd be. I know we say that. Oh, I don't know where I'd be. And I'm like, I don't know where I'd be here. I don't know where I'd be with my beliefs. I may still be in what we call the throes of despair. It's not necessarily despair, but I would not be in a good place because I'm not allowing other people to pour into me. So first, recognize what you're feeling. Talk to God about it in some way. Experiment. Try out different things. If one thing doesn't work, try something else. And just keep going. Just keep going. Sometimes go back to the same thing. Just keep trying. Don't stop. You may never see progress if you choose to stop. We know if we stop working, if you guys stop working at the jobs that you're at, guess what? You're going to stop making money. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to stop progress. We want to keep figuring out new ways. Okay, Lord, this is how, okay, I feel like this didn't work. All right, I'm going to try something else. Go to a friend. Go to somebody you trust. Go to somebody that cares for you, that wants your best, and is going to speak life into you. They're not going to condemn you for the things you're feeling. They're going to say, okay, that's real, but I'm also going to speak the truth into it. That this is not the truth, that it's okay that you're feeling these right now, but I'm going to speak truth into it. And first, you gotta realize where you're at. And then go to somebody you trust. Go to somebody that's a leader, that you respect. It doesn't even have to be a spiritual person. I would highly do it. Go to somebody that you know at church, and go to somebody because they're going to have a little bit more experience on how to do it as a believer rather than just a person. There's obviously a psychological part of it of, okay, I got to deal with these things, but there's also a supernatural, spiritual part of it that we are 3 parts spirit, soul, and body. So we need to take care of all of that. And we do that by learning new things to try out because guess what? We have to take care of the things we have. We can't just expect God just to come in and just be like, all right, everything's right. It's not saying we don't pray. It's not saying he doesn't make things right. But I think a lot of the time we expect God just to change everything, but we're not willing to grow. It's hard to grow. If you guys know about trees, when trees run out of nutrients, what do? They stretch themselves out looking for more. They grow. They go through a painful process. Recognizing what you're feeling is a painful process. I can speak from experience. I had a painful process right before I left Colorado in March. I had a painful process with some friends. We went through some things that we were feeling. We went through it and we dealt with it and it hurt. But the thing is, now we're better. It hurt for the time and we endured it and we endured the pain and we said, you know what, this is worth it because we know what's on the other side of this. That when you recognize what you're feeling and you say this is not the whole story and you dig deeper, you find the hidden emotions that are really going on. And that's where you're able to be like, okay, well, there needs to be a change made. And that's where you're able to be like, okay, I need to ask more questions. Everything that you're feeling right now, ask more questions. Okay, well, why am I feeling that? It's because of this. Okay, well, why? It's because of this. Okay, well, why? It's always asking the why questions. There's always something deeper. So we want to go deeper. We don't want to say surface. We don't just want to say this is the feeling and that's all it is. It's always something more. And I'm not saying it's always the enemy. Sometimes that is just life. Again, it just said, enjoy the times of plentiful. But when the hard times come, realize they're both from God. God brings us through trials. He brings us through hard times. And he says, you will be blessed through this. I'm going to work it out with you, but they will be hard. As believers, we're not supposed to ignore hard times. We're supposed to challenge it. We're supposed to be like, you know what? All right, there may be hard times ahead, but we have been strengthened. Each one of you has the ability, because guess what? No matter where you go, problems are going to want to follow you. They're going to want to. Everywhere I go, I know problems want to follow me. They want to cause issues. And I need to know, okay, well, how am I going to deal with it? What am I going to do? Whenever I feel like a problem's coming, okay, well, how do I deal with those feelings that I'm doing? How do I clear this out of my mind? How do I get rid of these anxious thoughts, this anxiety? How do I get rid of that? I recognize it's happening, and I share it with people, and then I say, okay, well, God, what's next? Awesome. I want to go down to the worship team, come back up. You can turn the lights down a little bit. I'm not going to lie, y'all. And I know I said it, that it's hard. Sometimes being a believer is harder than being an unbeliever. It's harder in different ways. It can be harder. And sometimes we don't get to control the things that happen to us in life. We don't. Again, life is not fair. It's not trying to play fair. Some of you are graduating. You're going to be going into a world that's completely different from school. Completely different from the life you were living. You're adults. And unfortunately, I've met the hard way. I've learned the hard way. Life does not want to play fair with me. It does not want to give me the things that I even want. It does not want to get me to the places that I want to go. And the only thing that has gotten me to the place I'm at now was just being like, all right, I know where I'm at, but I don't want to stay where I'm at. We don't want to do work. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not fun. We have to sacrifice for work. When you guys go to work, you're sacrificing time you could be spending doing something else. A relationship with God is spending time with Him when you could be doing something else. For people that work out and that do that, they're spending time building up and breaking down their body to become stronger when they could be doing something else. We want to be able to walk through this life knowing, okay, you know what? Hard times may happen. That does not mean I have to let them determine every single aspect of my life. Because just like Solomon knew the truth, we have to know the truth. And we're going to let the truth and we're going to let God determine, okay, how should I feel about this? You know what? This thing is terrible. How do I go about dealing with it in a way that is honorable to Him? The New Testament says we're supposed to be like Jesus. If we look at all the things we went through, you can see it in the disciples. They're like, these are terrible things. But if you look at the way Jesus deals with it, He's like, yeah, that's going to happen. But I'm not going to go and sit down and complain about it. I'm not going to go and be like, there's nothing I can do. I can make a difference. Jesus spent a lot of personal time with the Father. This all starts on a personal time frame. You have to make the decision to say, you know what? It's going to be tough to do this. It's going to be painful to have to say this is what's happening. But trust me, I'm speaking from experience. I've gone through some difficult, what we call inner healing, inner issues, things that were making me feel a certain way. And they were not easy to get rid of. It was a process and it was intentionality. Relationship is a combination of two things. It's time and intentionality. It's choosing. It's saying, you know what? I'm going to take time to be with this person, but not only am I going to take time, I'm going to choose what I'm going to do with that time. We say we're in a relationship with God, but are you taking the time and you're doing things with Him? Are we doing that? And I can't control what you guys do at home. I can't control what you guys do when you leave this room. I can't. I can't have a personal relationship with God for you. Nor should I. I have my own personal relationship with God. You guys have your own friends. I don't know your friends. I'm not supposed to have a relationship with your friends for you. You have a relationship with your friends. Why? Because you love being around them. Because you love pouring into them. Because you love them. It is up to you. Solomon saw the benefit of what he was doing despite what he was feeling. He knew the truth. He knew what was really what was really supposed to be happening. And he said, you know what? Sometimes life is not okay. But you know what? The best person to be not okay with is God. Of anybody, he can take the fits of anger you have about something. I'm not saying go and be angry at God and scream at Him. I'm saying let it out to Him. Trust Him with what's going on inside of you. You got to trust Him with that. And that means some vulnerability. When you're going to go up and tell somebody something that's personal, you're being vulnerable. You're opening up. You're allowing for there to be something that somebody, could use against you. But that's why you find people that you trust, because they're like, no, I'm going to treasure this. I'm honored that you told me that. We're closer now because I know something about you that nobody else knows. So what I'm going to do is I have some leaders that I've talked to. We're going to have them come up right now. And what I want to do is I want to leave this space right here. Whether big or small, whether it's like, okay, I'm really not okay, or you know what, things just aren't where I want them to be. This space is for you to come up and do whatever you need to and take that first step of being like, okay, why? Taking the time. And then taking the next step of, okay, well, God, here's what's going on with me. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what's really going on. Here's what's affecting me. We're being honest. We have a hard time sometimes doing that because we're like, well, I know what I'm supposed to be feeling, but the thing is, this is what's really going on. And I want to move toward what you have for me. And what I'm going to have the leaders do is they're actually going to go around. If you come up here, they will pray for you. They will come to you. You guys, you just come up, they will come to you. You just do whatever you're supposed to do. They're here to come alongside you and to support you with prayer and to support you and to say, hey, look, we're here for you. They're here not just to say, hey, look, I'm here. They're here to show it. To show you, look, I'm going to come and I'm going to comfort you. I'm going to be there for you when you're not okay. Because that's what we're supposed to be. So if you're in that place, big or small, it could be stresses, major stresses, college stresses. It could just be, you know what? I just don't have enough money to buy the thing I want to buy. It's just things that are just not okay that you're like, you know what? I don't know why this is happening. But I need to recognize it and then voice it in some way to God. So we're going to take this entire song. If you want to come up here, come up here. Do whatever you need to do. Make it between you and God. Make it be, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I got to be vulnerable. It takes a step, and unfortunately, some people may not come up here that are supposed to. But I encourage all of you, this is you. There's no shame. I've been here recently. So during this next song, come up. This space is for you. Leaders will find you, and they'll pray for you. Okay.